Okay, so we're going to do another part in the series, which is the third part of the business is dispositions, right? There are three parts of the real estate investing business. The first is, in my opinion, everybody can divide it differently. Some people divide it into two parts, just acquisitions and dispositions, which is getting properties and then selling properties and making money on them. But I divide acquisitions into two parts as marketing. There's sales conversions, converting a lead to a contract, and there is dispositions. So we're going to talk about dispositions. Dispositions is really when you get paid. Now, obviously, people say you make your money when you buy, and clearly, if you buy it cheap enough, you can make money in dispositioning the property. But there's a lot of options in dispositioning, and the next video I realize we're gonna talk about making offers, because really, the offer that you make to the seller, a potential seller, is going to depend on how you want to disposition the property. So the three ways that I disposition properties. The first is that I wholesale a property. So that means I get into contract on a property and I'm buying it cheap enough that I can then assign that contract to somebody else who's going to do the rehab and for a fee. That's number one. Number two is rehabbing the property, which means I buy the property, I close on it, I do extensive work to it, I increase the value by the work that I do, and then I sell that property to a retail buyer. Sorry, I gotta close something. And the third thing I do is wholesaling. So a lot of people don't understand what wholesaling is. Wholesaling is like a mix of wholesaling and rehabbing or retailing. So that means you buy the property, do minimal work to it, sometimes nothing. I bought houses where I did nothing to them. And then you sell it to a retail buyer. So those are the three ways I disposition. I also do take listings. I'm a real estate broker, so I might list a property, but most people don't take listings, and I completely understand why you wouldn't take listings. So let's talk about each of those. So wholesaling to me is the easiest way. If I could wholesale every property, I would. I can't, because I can't buy properties cheap enough every time to wholesale them. I wish I could. And also I can't, because sometimes you just can't wholesale a property for the whatever reason. Maybe it's occupied and you can't get other lender and any other investors in there. Sometimes they just can't show it even if it's not occupied. And there's all kinds of issues that come up that prevent something from being wholesale. I'm doing something now where I'm doing something now where I really thought I was going to wholesale the property. It's in Mastic, and I just couldn't get access. So I closed it. I'm doing the rehab, and hopefully it'll be on the market soon. It's an example of a property. I just could not get people in there to see it, and I couldn't get an offer that made sense. So I'm going to make the money by rehabbing. But ideally, I would wholesale every property if I could, because it's the easiest, right? When you close on a wholesale deal, you are done. There is nothing to worry about. When you close on a deal that you're taking possession of, clock starts ticking, right? Every day you own it, you owe taxes on it, you owe interest on it if you borrowed money. You have to worry about vandalism and all kinds of things. You got to take care of it. When the spring comes, you got to cut the grass. When it snows, you have to shovel the snow. So all these things make wholesaling to me the easiest. But I can't wholesale everything. So sometimes I have to pay more than what I could wholesale it, than what I need to buy it at to make money wholesaling. So I pay more and then I'll rehab it. And sometimes I'll pay even more than that if I do the calculations that if I buy it and I can do minimal work to it, I can wholesale it. So what is important in wholesaling, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that it's a different way to look at a potential property. In general, when you're rehabbing or you're wholesaling, you're looking at it the same way. The only two numbers you need to know are the ARV, the after repaired value. What can I sell a house that is completely renovated in this area for? And then you're looking at what the repair estimates are. Now, obviously, everybody's going to have different repair estimates and everybody's going to have a different ARV. But if you know those numbers and you're confident in them, then you can either wholesale it, right, if you can buy it cheap enough, or you can rehab it. But for wholesaling, it's different. You're looking at what the property is worth in this current condition or very close to it to a retail buyer. And over the last 12 years, the spread between what people were paying for a 9 or a 10 out of 10, a completely renovated house with all brand new everything, and what people were paying for maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10, where it's just okay, that spread narrowed. So that might be changing now as things change. But what I noticed over the years is that I could sometimes pay more than other wholesalers or rehabbers could pay and then just put it out on the market as is. So I've done that a bunch of times. It's been great for me. It's another way to disposition. But you've got to understand a few things when you wholesale. Number one, the house cannot be in horrible condition, obviously, because you're going to need a lot of work. The house cannot be completely vacant and with everything shut off. So most bank-owned properties have been winterized where you don't know if the plumbing works, you don't know if the electrical works, and you can't really take a chance on wholetailing it then if you don't know if all the utilities are going to work, because sometimes a plumbing problem or electrical problem can lead to a lot more. And also, you need to really figure out what it is you can do to it, or maybe not, sometimes not do to it, that you can sell it as is. So you need to have it be in an area where there are comps of older, I'm not going to say cruddy, but older houses that are selling. So you have to find those comps, and you got to be careful, because sometimes I've seen people show me a deal and they go, "Can I wholesale?" And I'm like, "Your comps are not accurate. They're in a different school district, or they are in much better shape." And when people see that, they're not going to pay what you think they're going to pay. And you also have to understand that it's still expensive to buy a property, hold a property, and sell a property in New York. Very often it's about $50,000, and people think that's crazy, but that's the truth. Closing costs on a purchase could be around 10 grand. Closing costs on a sale be 10 grand. Then obviously that'll vary as prices change. But you also, if you're borrowing money, you got to pay interest costs. You have to pay all those holding costs. So it's got to make sense. You have to really do the numbers and make sure you know what your closing costs on the buy, closing costs on the sale, and the holding costs are going to be. And then you got to figure out what you want your profit to be. It's not always what you think. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but there has to be enough of a spread. In general, I would say usually I look for at least $100,000 of spread. But if it's much, if it's a $200,000 property, it might be less. And if it's a $500,000 property, you want more. So wholetailing is the third disposition. So the disposition part of this comes after you've got the property under contract or you close. So it's important to understand your options, understand the different dispositioning. I have a great dispositions manager, really handles all my properties that I am getting rid of. And that helps me because I don't like dealing with buyers, even cash buyers, even people who are going to rehab the property. I prefer not to deal with them. So Ken is great, and he is my dispositions manager. But we always talk about different ways we could disposition it so that we can max out. So, but to be honest, I will forego a lot of profit sometimes on a wholesale deal just to know that I don't have to get involved. Now, there could be other factors involved. Maybe I can't get a crew there soon enough. Maybe there's other issues that I don't want to deal with. But in general, like I said, I would wholesale every property if I could. I can't. Maybe one day I'll get to the point where I have enough deals where I can just wholesale everything. That would be amazing. But I am a firm believer in wholesaling. It works in New York. It's different in New York. You need to know how the contract process works. And if you want more information about how I can help you or teach you, you can go to howtoflipnewyork.com. I can show you. There's a bunch of ways I can help you there. And I have a course, and you can look into that. And again, dispositioning is to me the third part of the process. It's really where you get paid. Even though you make your money when you buy, you realize that profit when you disposition it. You need to understand the different ways to disposition a property so that you can get paid. And again, if I didn't look at for many years, I didn't even understand wholetailing. I looked at every property as to what it could be worth on an ARV on a fully renovated basis. And I definitely missed out on a lot of deals. And I definitely rehab deals that I didn't need to rehab. I could have just taken them, done minimal work to them, make them mortgageable. That's another issue with wholetailing. The property has to be the end user has to be able to get a mortgage on the property. So there has to be a kitchen, there has to be a bathroom, there can't be a hole in the roof. Certain things has to be livable. So if I would have realized the concept of wholetailing years ago, I would have made a lot more money and saved myself a lot of heartache. And the deals that I lost money on, 3 of them, which I still remember, I think all of them I could have possibly done better if I would have wholesaled. But really the reason why I lost money on those deals was because I priced them too high. And we're going to get into that in a future Facebook Live. So if you're watching this on YouTube, remember I'm going on Facebook Live first and then posting it to YouTube. I want to thank you for watching. If you need my help, my number's below. Also, we're going to have a RIA meeting. Was it Thursday, June 25th at 4 p.m. There'll be a link if you're watching on YouTube below. On Facebook, I don't know if I can put in a link. But thank you for watching, and hopefully if you need help and you want to get into flipping houses on Long Island or anywhere around New York, you can give me a call or go to howtoflipnewyork.com.